A Mortal's Journey to Immortality Episode 273. In the previous episode, Han Li discovered that the large embroidered robed man facing him was no ordinary cultivator, but a late nascent soul divine sage named Tian Zhang, claiming to be the fourth Molan divine sage. Shocking Han Li, as lightning beads clashed and azure hands tried to restrain his attacks. Han Li realized Tian Zhang's power was formidable, yet not fully consolidated. Just as the battle intensified, Lady Feng appeared, wielding her blazing fire spirit bottle to confront Tian Zhang. While Han Li faced not only the divine sage but also his terrifying heavenly tigers and a cunning azure doppelganger. With his gold-devouring beetles trapped in the battlefield chaotic, Han Li had no choice but to fight relentlessly, even as Long Han and allied spell warriors prepared to unleash their own devastating maneuvers. At the end of the previous episode, Han Li was surrounded on all sides, battling the azure doppelganger and the heavenly tigers, while Lady Feng clashed fiercely with Tian Zhang, leaving the outcome uncertain and the fate of the trapped cultivators hanging in the balance. What will happen next? Stay tuned. And the story continues. The woman surnamed La sent the ancient lantern into the sky and released a trace of white nascent flame from her mouth. Lighting the ancient lantern, with both hands forming an incantation gesture in the shape of a lotus flower. She murmured a cryptic chant, summoning a white lotus beneath her that slowly blossomed. Her movements were graceful and fluid, making her appear almost otherworldly, as if she were a spirit stepping out of an ancient myth. The aura surrounding her incantation was indescribably ancient, filled with a power that seemed to predate time itself. Suddenly, the bronze lantern trembled, and mirages emerged from its surface, multiplying into 8 identical copies. These lanterns began to rotate around themselves in 3 interweaving circles, creating a mesmerizing, celestial pattern. The woman surnamed La, without breaking her composure, flicked her fingers to strike each of the ancient lanterns with various spell seals. A brilliant azure light erupted, and 9 flames rose from the lanterns, converging at their center to form a single, head-sized azure flame. She then spat a mist of blood essence into the flames, which ignited violently, increasing the power and intensity of the energy within. A piercing cry rang out, echoing across the battlefield, and from the flames emerged a magnificent azure bird, no less than a foot long initially, yet radiating immense presence. It was a peacock, with feathers of deep azure and eyes that glimmered like jewels of fire red. The bird scanned its surroundings with an air of arrogance, its gaze finally settling on the woman surnamed La. It then spoke to her in an ancient language, the words carrying the weight of millennia. La bowed deeply 3 times in response, communicating back through voice transmission, while a shriveled old man nearby observed with a grave expression, impressed and cautious at once. La then produced a small, pink, fragrant pearl. The azure peacock's eyes lit with joy, and it drew the pearl into its mouth enveloped in a swirling mist of azure flame. Instantly, a radiant halo of light enveloped the bird as it roared into the sky, expanding to a colossal size and enveloping 5 kilometers of the battlefield in flames infused with spiritual energy. The fire attribute cultivators and spell warriors nearby felt their power diminish in the overwhelming presence of the sacred bird. The fire spirit energy in the air seemed to gather as rivers converging into an ocean, flowing into the bird and causing it to grow even larger. The azure flames roaring brighter than ever. Cultivators froze, astonished by the spectacle, the heat around them rising to suffocating levels despite the protection of their magical tools. Yet the spell warriors watched with exhilaration. It's the sacred bird, Sage La has summoned it, some cried out, their voices filled with excitement and anticipation. The battle, they believed, was already turning in their favor. The shriveled old man allowed a rare smile as he watched the power of the sacred bird manifest, while a black-robed woman from the yin-sifting sect observed with a mixture of curiosity and caution. Only a sacred bird at deity transformation stage can control the fire spirits of heaven and earth. She murmured, "No wonder it is your most treasured weapon. But this is only its early nascent soul manifestation. Its true form would be far more formidable." The shriveled old man nodded calmly. Even at late nascent soul, common cultivators cannot withstand its might. The black-robed woman agreed, noting that the sacred bird's ability to absorb worldly spiritual power alone gave it a near-invincible edge. Meanwhile, 7 white-clothed old men on the opposing side, the 7 Great Truths Cultivators, had unleashed their ancient treasures to attack the spell warriors. Their eyes widened in shock as they noticed the massive azure bird now surrounded by an intense azure sun. The gray-robed leader frowned deeply, recognizing the peril. Not good. That demon beast is beyond ordinary cultivators. We must block it, he commanded. Without hesitation, another old man transformed into streaks of yellow light, rushing straight toward the sacred bird with the intent to use their legendary treasures to eliminate it. The others followed, though their leader hesitated, taking a deep breath before reluctantly joining them. The sacred bird, having absorbed the surrounding fire spirit energy, now towered over 80 meters tall. It glared at the approaching cultivators, hostility radiating from every feather. As it unfurled its wings, it launched a barrage of fist-sized azure fireballs toward the 7 cultivators. Their hearts shook as a wave of searing heat swept over them. The long-eyebrowed old man quickly deployed a crystalline ice net, capturing the fireballs in a flash of white light. Yet the azure flames dissolved the net almost instantly, and the fireballs coalesced into pillars of blazing energy, hurtling toward them with unstoppable momentum. Their leader quickly released a milky white ancient mirror, casting a protective barrier that pushed back the flames and contained the bird. But the other cultivators felt the icy fear of inadequacy creeping in. Common magic tools were nearly powerless against the sacred bird's overwhelming energy. Desperation mounting, the 7 Great Truths Cultivators called upon the devil isolating formation, launching 6 additional treasures: a red club, a yellow halberd, a medallion, a small cauldron, a jade fan, and a scepter, into the sky to form a complex, rainbow-colored barrier around the sacred bird. Despite this, the bird's fury was palpable. It pecked downward with a beak radiating dense azure energy, striking one old man's medallion treasure. The medallion hurtled back toward him with terrifying force, barely stopped by a surge of spiritual energy lent by the leading cultivator. Even as they regained control, the other old men grew increasingly vigilant, forcing their treasures to emit maximum power. Light of various colors intertwined to shield them from the relentless assault of the sacred bird. Spell warrior La, observing from a distance, turned her attention to the ancient lantern. Hesitant to act further, she knew the lantern needed guarding until its oil was fully burned. Ignoring it could spell disaster, yet leaving the cultivators to attack the sacred bird was a risk she could not avoid. The shriveled old man, meanwhile, seemed to mock the old cultivator's struggle, confident that the sacred bird held the advantage. Even the 7 Great Truths Cultivators' formidable magic treasures were no match for its immense power. It would strike them down before the lantern finished burning. Han Li, standing before an army of over 1,000 cultivators, frowned at the scene. Realizing the Molin's capability to summon such a powerful demon bird, he understood the battle had become considerably more complicated. His voice rang out, sharp and commanding. Quickly, release the spirit phantoms. Take advantage of the distraction the 7 Great Truths Cultivators are providing. Immediately, pitch-black phantom birds flew from his army. Some cultivators activated spirit talismans on nearby statues, and green light spread as the statues came to life, rendering many defenders immobile. The phantom birds' eyes glowed with a chilling blue light as they swooped toward the spell warriors. The shriveled old man observed the unfolding strategy, a trace of mockery appearing on his face. He turned to the black-robed woman and suggested, "The time has come to deliver the lethal blow. Lady Lu, release your copper-armored corpses. We can seize victory now." The black-robed woman's eyes glimmered, but she spoke calmly. "Brother Zhu, don't be hasty. Most of my corpses are Foundation Establishment cultivators. If we wait until the Heavenly South cultivators exhaust their strength, the corpses will easily rout them." After frowning for a moment, he hesitated before nodding. Fine. So long as you don't change your mind. We can wait a little bit more." He felt her words felt a bit of reason. In this episode, we saw the woman surnamed La summon the magnificent sacred bird, engulfing the battlefield in powerful azure flames that tested even the strongest cultivators. The Seven Great Truths Cultivators attempted to contain it using their legendary treasures, while Han Li seized the moment to release his spirit phantoms and spirit talismans, turning the tide of the battle in subtle but decisive ways. The clash between overwhelming magical power and strategic cunning highlighted just how dangerous and unpredictable this fight has become. What happens next? Stay tuned for the next episode of Immortal's Journey to Immortality. If you enjoyed this episode or found it exciting, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to get the latest updates on Han Li's journey. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.